Others open blind boxes for surprises. He opened the blind box to survive. But look at what he opened. Not some useless food storage box. TV that is completely useless. There's even a box of wired headphones. But a box of wine that pregnant women can't drink at all. But these seemingly useless things. But in the days that followed, time and again he escaped danger. The container is still leaking. He found a roll of tape, then quickly closed the water inlet. Temporarily solved the container leakage problem. Then a strange thing happened again. The container is clearly floating on the sea. Suddenly, a cry for help came to my ears. He hurried to check what happened outside, but found a green container numbered 107, sinking into the sea, and the cry for help came from there. He suddenly became a little panicked and regretful, because that's where Nick is. The container is about to sink to the bottom of the sea. He was powerless, so I quickly took out my cell phone and called my husband, confirm whether it is safe. Until the container is completely sunk into the sea, the call still didn't go through. He couldn't believe that his husband left him like this. The suffocating pain almost made him unable to breathe. Fighting until late at night. The phone is always disconnected. He finally gave up. Gave up on the call. Give up on living. So I took out the knife. Prepare to cut her finger and follow her husband. Sudden pain. Let him temporarily give up the idea of having a biological child. It turned out that the baby in his belly was reminding him. He's always by his mother's side. For the unborn child, Mia decided to live. But then a strange thing happened. When he woke up again, and found himself floating to the hanging wooden box. So he hurriedly got up and hid. He thought it was over. He suddenly discovered the water in the container. It is rising rapidly at an unusual speed. It was about to cover his neck. He can't do anything. He could only let the sea drown him. Turned out to be just a dream. But at this time the water level in the container has obviously risen. He must find the reason as soon as possible. After careful observation I found the hole that was originally sealed with tape has been washed away by the sea, and still pouring water in. Don't solve the water leakage problem. Dreams will become reality. So he placed his only hope on the only unopened box. But after wasting a long time, he was stunned when he opened the mirror. There are still those useless fresh-keeping boxes inside. He was so angry that he sat still, but then he was stunned again. Then I picked up the lid of the fresh-keeping box and observed it for a long time. He came up with a good idea to solve the water leakage problem. He first removed the seal on the lid, then cut it into several pieces with a knife, then plug it into the drain hole. In this way the problem of water leakage is perfectly solved. Then he took out a pipe from the box, then stick it out of the hole, drain as much water as possible. Then push the box containing the TV to the front wing of the shell. Keep the container watertight. Then mark the water level. This will give you an idea of how fast the water level is rising. Pregnant women are really smart. But when he was sorting out the supplies, another strange thing happened. He tried to call for help, but because there is no signal interruption, he could only save himself after seeking help, but to no avail. I want to see what supplies are available first. A working electric drill, a roll of bread and a can of food, 2 bottles of water. There's also a working lighter and flashlight. The cards suddenly became dark clouds, lightning and thunder. Looks like a storm is coming. But it's even worse. At this time, his amniotic fluid suddenly. Giving birth is inherently dangerous. Now he's alone. There's no way he can do anything but give it his all. Fortunately, mother and child are safe. But the problems that followed also became apparent. Not only did he have to find a way to escape from the container and take care of the children, there is simply no room for maneuver. At this moment, he suddenly saw an electric drill beside him. Maybe you can find a way to survive outside. So he picked up the electric drill. Chisel at the top of the container. The terrible thing is, when the last side is chiseled, the electric switch is turned to repair. No matter how he fiddled with the electric drill, it wouldn't budge. He threw the electric drill aside and collapsed helplessly on the ground. The baby started crying loudly again. He was completely broken at this moment. I picked up things around me and started to vent my anger. At this moment, a serrated knife appeared before his eyes. Then he dragged his weak body, start cutting the connection of the small hole. But it didn't take long for my palms to bleed, because the iron container is hot and humid. The baby has prickly heat all over his body. Xiaomei had to get wet with seawater, wipe his body to cool him down. At night he was so hungry that his chest was pressed against his back. I can't sleep at all. Then he took out his placenta. He was so hungry that he caught it and beat it like a mad dog. The next day, Xiaomei once again cuts the iron sheet under the high temperature of 40 degrees. The container at this time seems to have become an oven. This further confirmed Xiaomei's happiness in going out. It's almost the last step. The knife broke. God simply doesn't want to give him a chance to live. In the scorching heat, Xiaomei has been severely dehydrated and has produced blood. So he filled up the sea water and poured it on his face. Then he saw the steam at the bottom of the container. He quickly stuck out his tongue and licked it drop by drop. The rusty water quickly dried him up. Vomited. Just when Xiaomei fell asleep, suddenly a drop of water fell on his face. He instinctively opened his mouth to dilute. Only then did I discover. Rainwater is falling through the small hole. Then he took out the fresh-keeping box. Prepare to collect more rainwater. He must seize this hard-earned birth. Because this is his only hope of survival. Even a small can. He'll use it all. But when he was pulling the can, he got inspiration. He first fixed a long strip of cloth in the middle of the iron sheet. I grabbed the other two ends of the cloth. Use all your strength to turn downwards. God will not let down those who work hard. Xiaomei finally pulled open this indestructible iron. The moment the sun shines on your face. He shed tears of joy. He told the child hopefully. Across the sea is where they are going. Woman throws daughter's diaper into sea. Unexpectedly, there is a milky smell in the feces. Instead, it attracted many greedy fish. This makes me feel that I haven't seen meat for a long time. Xiaomei was instantly excited. He leaned over and approached the fish and greeted it, even slapping the container, trying to get the fish to swim over. Obviously this doesn't work. He turned around and tried to find an iron rod. Fasten the tail of a screw. Tie a rope and throw it into the sea to catch fish. I tried several times but failed. Instead, it scares away the fish as soon as it falls into the water. But he didn't compromise. After half a day of tossing and turning, nothing was found. Instead, I exhausted myself. At this moment, he suddenly noticed a plane flying in the sky. So he immediately returned to the container, smashed the TV quickly, pulling a large piece of broken glass to return to the boat. Unexpectedly, Xiaomei was too excited. In the middle of climbing the container, a brain was cut out of the thigh. He couldn't care less about the pain at this moment, because he wants to seize this hard-won opportunity. So he hurriedly held up the broken mirror. He wanted to use the light reflected from the mirror. Can be spotted by people on the plane. But obviously this idea is too absurd. At this time, the pain in the thigh stimulated my consciousness. This forced him to return to the container again. He disassembled the TV motherboard, found a needle in it, pulling out a red thread from the headphone cable. Then he took a sip of the liquor. In a sudden fall he fell on the wound. Disinfection area. Then fix the copper wire on the steel needle. Give yourself a breath. I started to suture the wound. He almost fainted from the intense pain. Fortunately, women are weak. Being a mother makes you strong. With great perseverance, he finally completed the suture. Just then he saw a lot of. So he had an idea. Woven into a fishing net with headphone wires. He tried to cast the fishing net into the sea. Then throw the prepared diapers into the middle of the fishing net. After making the trap, I kept praying that the fish would swim fast. Soon a greedy fish scurried along the shit. The fragrance swam into the fishing net. Seeing this, Xiaomei immediately pulled up the fishing net. Food in hand. Xiaomei's eyes lit up immediately. Pick up the fresh fish and eat it raw without hesitation. This seemed to be the most delicious thing he had ever eaten. That's all. He used this method to fish day after day. There are even extra fish stored. He then used a homemade drainage system. Allow the water level in the container to slowly decrease. He tried everything to get help. Even put the letters filled with help into the plastic box. Throw it into the sea in a closed. If you are lucky enough to be eaten by someone, it also adds a ray of hope to yourself. But the scary thing is, the water seepage in the container is getting worse. At night, he could only hide in a container with his children. That day he used the only materials he had to make a lifeboat. Make a seagull fly over and eat the fish bones. He knew it was not far from the sea. However, at this time, the water in the container has reached the maximum level. But the only photo her husband gave her is still in the water. So he jumped into the water without hesitation. But unexpectedly an accident happened. The messy ropes were entangled around his feet. The sea water almost submerged his entire body during the struggle. But fortunately he used the fruit knife he carried with him. Cut the rope. But at this time the container has completely sunk into the sea. He still tried his best and luckily swam out of the water. However, the daughter is missing at this time. He shouted desperately, "My daughter is like..."